Hello, welcome back to my channel. Antoinette here. I'm going to just do the little look through of the Total Tarot magazines at parts 28 and 29, and these have come with the Before Tarot deck, which I have seen once on somebody's channel, and that was I can't even remember who it was now, but basically they had the one person had Before Tarot, one person had the current, tarot as we know it, and one person had After Tarot, and they were doing a comparison side by side of all the cards, and it was really, really interesting. And it was that kind of put these decks across my radar, and I always thought it'd be lovely to own a couple more than just the standard Radiant Wise Spirit. And here we have it. I have Before Tarot. I wouldn't mind After Tarot. I'd quite like the In-Between Tarot, and there is the Tarot of Opposites as well, which I believe are all by Lo Scarabeo. So they would all be really good to finish up this little collection of Radiant Wise Spirit. If you're listening, Total Tarot, Lo Scarabeo, Byline Publishing, please. All right, sip of the coffee and then let's go. So 2 cards. This was almost on time, I'd like to say. Royal Mail are finally sorting themselves out. Things are starting to post. So this was very almost on time, maybe 2 days late for me, possibly. But it arrived a day or 2 ago, so before part 29 was advertised as going out onto the shop shelves. So I think I'm nearly back to where I am. And we have the 2 sevens to go with my, I can't even remember what it's called now. It's been so long. The Golden Art Nouveau. Why did I stumble? Because I know it's being called the ANT, and I've completely forgotten what that stands for. So into my deck, there you go. Sevens. Wonderful. Okay, we'll do the deck at the end. Let's start with part 29, or 28 even. I'll bring you down. Okay, so as you know, I don't give away absolutely everything that's in this magazine, because otherwise it's going to ruin it if you haven't got it and you've ordered it and you're waiting for it. So I don't like to give too many spoiler alerts out, but I do think it's nice to have a look through and see what's going on, especially if you can't afford it. We have Reading the Tarot, the dynamic spreads. So when the dynamic spread technique is used in a reading, the cards are moved from one position to another, often profoundly changing their interpretation. That's not something that I haven't heard of. So I have heard of, if you're familiar with Lenormand, there's like a grand tableau spread, and you might read your cards in different directions rather than the standard numerical order of 1 to however many cards you're pulling. So that's not a completely new concept for me. I've also watched people link cards without them even joining by being next to each other. So that's quite a good thing to learn and read, and it's kind of taking that entire picture in front of you and turning it into a story, really, and giving you another layer to your reading and the meanings of the cards. So I'm just checking here. So in a dynamic spread, the cards are moved from position to position and are interpreted several times because of the contradictions that can arise. Using a dynamic approach is an advanced technique that's not really suitable for an inexperienced reader. I don't know, do I agree? I think you can practice, depends how in tune you are with your cards, but I would agree that you do have to have a very good understanding of your cards before you can start shifting them around. And it may be that you just choose one card, so you may have one center card that you move around to tell a tale with each card that you've pulled, and that might give a different story to what you're reading. That's just an idea of what you can try. We have a past, present, future here by the looks of it. We have some quick tips in the corner. I'm just going to read the bottom note here because it's jumping out at me, mainly because it's in bold. Always use your intuition. If a card turns out to be unwelcome or out of place in a certain position, don't worry. Instead of trying to give it a positive connotation, come what may, analyse the new position. Take account of the information that emerges and move on. So for instance, if you laid out a spread for yourself, and so the Hierophant is in the past, we'll just use this, shall we, for example. Hierophant's in the past, but you're not currently doing anything that relates to a Hierophant, but you are going to be doing something in the future that relates to a Hierophant, then that's when you may well take that card and move it forwards to see what happens and how it adjusts your spread. Making transitions. Each card in the past, present and future example is moved in order. The first card into the second position, the second card into the third, and the final card goes back to the first position. Okay, so move that one to there, see how it reads, move to there, see how it reads, move that one over to there. And that seems to be how they're suggesting a kind of dynamic spread. That might be a bit too dynamic for me, as in too many positions, but we can all try. So we are looking at the Six of Cups in detail, and this one obviously talks about, in this symbolism, the sharing and nostalgia elements of the Six of Cups. We have keywords there, our traditional symbols that we're looking at. See, two children. A boy extends a flower-filled cup to a young girl who stretches out her hands to receive it. Which I think is quite obvious what's happening in that card, to be honest. And then we have our tarot thematics with our personal life, divination, psyche and soul at the top there. What the card shows us, so we're still talking about the Six of Cups, of course. It's gifts of the heart, a walk down memory lane, kindness, sharing, protection. Two children share a cup inside a walled Tuscan hill town. Flowers sprout from the cups, implying growth and manifestation in the real world. The figure of an adult man, perhaps a soldier, walks away, implying this is a space for youth. Old situations slip away. The cup exchanged between the children reflects gifts of the heart. And then we have the different Six of Cups down here. What have we got? So the Low Scarabeo Tarot, got a very naked lady. We have the Nefertiti's Tarot, a little bit more covered. We have the Pre-Raphaelite here, which I already have. We have the Dark Grimoire, which I already have. The Shaman Tarot. We have the John Bower Tarot, which I really like the pictures of. Our Fae Tarot. And Tarot of White Cats, which is coming next, 30 and 35. And then up here we have a comparison of the Worth, the Angels, which is 34 and 35. So there's something in between those two. Look at me doing my maths. And then we have the Clint. Well, that's quite a beautiful card. Okay, we have a Wheel of Fortune spread. Never seen this one. We have 5 cards by the looks of it. Card 1 is from the Major Arcana. The purpose is to show querents. What's this? The spread. Purpose to show the querent what is expected to result from a significant event or a big life change. Layout. 1 card in the centre, surrounded by the other 4 cards. Okie dokie. So we have preparing, layering out, mottos. The positions of the cards here. I reign, I reigned, I will reign, I do not reign, and the centre. And then there we have the actual cards. So this unlucky person has the Devil for I reign. Oh, it's only Major Arcana. Sorry, I misread that. Only Major Arcana. That'll explain why the spread's a bit major looking, literally. Here we have the Tarot Deck Library telling us about the Before Tarot. I haven't checked who the artist is for these. I haven't actually looked at them. So the Before Tarot makes up part 1 of twin decks alongside the After Tarot, which obviously I've already mentioned. We have the Major Arcana. I wonder if the After Tarot is next. So we have our Major Arcana and the keywords that goes with this. Let's just have a look at no, wrong one, this one. Minor Arcana. I was going to say, let's have a look at the Six of Cups. Seems as we've been talking about it already. Six of Cups reminds us of simple pleasures, innocence, sentimentality, nostalgia, and reunion. So yeah, that is basically pretty much what I'd be expecting for some RWS imagery. And there we have our colour pictorial. And we have the back magazine. Okay. I never actually did say, did I? Oh, these remain to be sort of 19 pages, so it hasn't changed a lot in content. They've not got thinner. And then we have number 29, magazine number 2. Let's have a quick look in here. So we have, I wonder which deck this is. Looks like a stone kind of gargoyle, doesn't it? It was probably a fey deck of some description, and it probably says it here on the page, and I just cannot see it. Airy swords, leaves flying through the air in the Fey Tarot King of Swords. Yeah, there we go. And this one's talking about learning how to help queerants find balance in their lives is a vital step to achieving tarot mastery. And then we have the Dark Grimoire. So it is coming up. I'll have a second Dark Grimoire then soon. Perhaps I can have 2 different coloured edges. 4 elements. We've got the 4 elements in a reading: Pentacles, Cups, Swords and Wands. And so I think they are representative of the correct corners as well, as they should be laid out. Here we have Fey Tarot, tackling imbalance is one of the headings here. We've got aiming for harmony. The esoteric symbolism, so that's the standard symbols that you might see popping up on cards for the elements. And here we have a bit about interpreting the elements. I guess this must be more Fey Tarot down here. And we're on to the 7 of Cups in this one in detail. So I think in the Mood Tarot that I recently did a flip through of, the 7 of Cups is basically which choice is going to leave me less, like, you know, up crap creek. I think many of you might be able to relate to that. Okay, our tarot thematics, what the card shows us. Of course, that's talking about the 7 of Cups with the illusions, multiple choices, the figure standing in darkness and everything else that's being illuminated in front of them. And then down here we have our Nefertiti's Tarot for 7 of Cups, Pagan Tarot, the Universal Celtic, which I really quite like that deck, the Lo Scarabeo, Tarot Illuminati, not as favourite as I thought it was going to be, the Shaman, the Fey Tarot, and the Arcanum Tarot. Again, another one that I haven't used a lot of, but it's a very nice deck. And we have the interpretation for the Wheel of Fortune. So we saw the spread laid out in part 28, and in this one we can see the cards, and then we can see how they've kind of drawn out the keywords and then written about them and how they fit into each space. And so for beginners, I think that's always a really good one to see if you're reading the cards in the right kind of way, really. The influence of a centre card. Yep, centre cards are always very influential to a reading, I will agree. Telling you where you're at the moment. And then this must be a little bit more. So reconstruction of the arcana, comparing the wheels, as in the Wheel of Fortune. So we have Marseilles, Pre-Raphaelite, and Tower of the Angels. Questions about trust. And this picture's from the Harmonious Tarot, as it says quite nicely there. So tarot can be a great tool for people seeking reassurance about trust issues. Readers can help their queerants to verbalise their worries and show them how to tap into their gut feelings to assess people and situations. So that is very much a way in which I use tarot. So it's about highlighting the choices that's in front of you, things that you might not be able to see, underlying issues to a situation or other underlying questions that you can maybe ask to find out more information. But never as a set in stone, this is how it's going to be type reading. It's always like, here's some things that you can dig deeper into, delve into to get more information in order to make a choice. That's just more informed. I believe in helping you to make a more informed choice about what you're doing. World of Tarot, Tarot's Forefathers, Part 2. Court de Gebellin. Did I pronounce that right? So it tells us, so first part of our article on the man responsible for tarot's occult beginnings, Court de Gobelin, a Freemason, intellectual and scholar of ancient mythology, active in 18th century France. And then this is about the history and things. What is that amazing looking tablet there? The Rosetta Stone allowed Jean-Francois Champollion to start the translation of the ancient Egyptian language, but not until 1822. And this is a frontispiece of Monde Primitif by Antoine Court de Gobelin. I will be very honest, I have no idea what a frontispiece is. Is that like an advert? I don't know. And then we have some more of our Minor Arcana colour pictorial guide. And always reminding us practice makes perfect. Let's take a look at the cards. So it's come in the box. I've put them in because you don't need to watch me open them this far into Total Tarot. And as always, it tells you on the side which books come with it, so you can pick them out easily if you need to refer back to them. And what I've been doing is I've actually been writing in here who the actual artists and creators of the deck are, because that seems to be missed off the boxes, so you can't easily kind of say looking at the boxes, and that sort of is a shame, because it's nice then to know if you have another deck by that person that you've been enjoying. So these have beautiful backs, very beautiful backs actually. They are very nice cardstock. I'll take that one off. Slightly bowed a little bit because of the post. I think there may be a little bit of ink smell on them, but you know, do you know what? It doesn't bother me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let them sit next to this one. Colours are going to be different. The art style is slightly different because it's been drawn by different people. But it will show you, so I'm going to do the before tarot with the current tarot. So you can see how the story sort of changes. So here we are before we get to this point, all right? So this is the actual deck that we're looking at on my left. And then this is the one that most of us are familiar with on my right. So let's bring you down and let's take a look at these. Let's just check the sizes a minute. So they are the same size, and the backs are evidently different. So you could never get your decks mixed up if you wanted to mix the cards in. So I think these types of decks, you could, if one card makes more sense than the other one in the deck, you could easily swap them in and out. So let's go. We do now know where he got his rose from. He's holding so gallantly in this card. Oh, we have a helper. And before the snake became his belt, he's wearing it around his shoulders. Oh, that's quite cool, isn't it? So our high priestess, we have a bird there. And she has keys. Can you see that? She has keys in her hand. Empress, again, we have another bird. So these are quite interesting additions to the cards. And we even have a child, or yeah, two children even. Two children in the card. And somebody recently pointed out to me, which I hadn't paid attention to, this is not a pregnant empress. So many cards depict a pregnant empress, but this deck actually doesn't have one. I never really noticed that before. I just, because she's wearing like a big floaty dress. I don't know why, but I always saw that as pregnant. Okay, so here we have our emperor, and he's got a sheep around his shoulders. There's a live sheep by the looks of it. And he looks less menacing in this picture, doesn't he? So that one. Our Hierophant. So the details are less, it's been drawn with a finer pen really, hasn't it? Finer tip pen, so we can see actual, more on the faces, a little bit more of what's going on. And the hands there, interestingly, that are lowering the crown onto the head. So that one's quite different aspect on the card. And the roses on the chap on the bottom left are a different colour. So is the tops actually. So here we have our lovers. So this must be how they met. Somebody had fallen to the ground and was being helped up. And the chariot. And then we have our charioteer getting into the chariot. Although I'm not sure why the sphinxes have got lipstick on, but you know, we'll ignore that, shall we? And then in order to move forwards, they've taken off the lipstick, ready for business. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? I can't quite tell what's going on there. I don't know. I think it's just roaring or laughing in happiness. Perhaps this is actually petting and taming. Perhaps we're seeing that as the wrong way round. Maybe she's not actually trying to wrestle a lion. Maybe she's petting and taming a lion, giving him a chin rub, tickly nose. A hermit. Again, there's some more interesting elements in this card. And I love how he's gathering the star to put into his light to illuminate his way. Wheel of Fortune. So we have a moon and sun in this one. Our Justice card. Again, we have another bird. We don't have the sword for this one. Sword's on the floor. And our Hanged One. Okay, I wonder what's going on here then. Lots of similarities. Of course, he hasn't got the figure 4 that we're familiar with, and he's got 2 birds up there, crows, usually linked to kind of wisdom and knowledge. We have our Death card. So that's something we don't see in the other one, is we have actual kind of burial stones, tombstones. And we've got lots of blue flowers. I don't know if that might be representative of forget-me-nots coming out of the ground, as opposed to kind of that trampling aspect. Temperance. So I like the fact, there we go, she's filling, she, he, they are filling their cup. The Devil. That's some spectacular detail on this one, isn't it? Let's just come and have a little look. What are we up to here? They actually look like they're having a party. We've got grapes, we've got fire. I mean, they look like they're dancing, don't they? Having a bit of a jovial time. I've even got masks. Whereas here they look a little bit less jovial, but still very much depicted correctly. We have our tower, so we can see all the people in the tower and people going to the tower before it kind of catches fire. Our star. She's a little bit more modestly covered, but she does have a stalk there, so some news coming for somebody. And I love all the wild flowers in the grass around her. I guess that's our stalk there in the background. That's nice. We've got the moon. You can see the moon's like breathing life onto somebody, or, you know, shining, illuminating, definitely here. Almost like it's calling out the issue from the deep, because crayfish live, like, you know, in the water in the deep. So it's almost like it's calling them out to show themselves. It could also be illuminating the dangers of the water to the 2 dogs. And we have a very similar thing here, look, with the sunshine. So we have the sunshine breathing breath on the creepy baby that's on the horse. will forever be. I'm sorry, I can't see it any other way. Never have been able to see it many other ways. But the sunflowers are droopy. And then here we see everyone kind of back to life with the sunflowers and smiling, and everyone's a bit happy. So that nurturing element of the sunshine. Judgment. Okay. Being called to action. Called to arms. But they're all kind of floating in the water, aren't they? You never notice it so much with that card as much as you do with that one. The world. How interesting is that? We have two people in the world. So before it all begins again, before we get back to the journey of the Fool to start the cycle again. And then we have our Ace of Cups. We have a fish instead of a... This is quite religious, isn't it? Almost in its symbolism, I think. Whereas this is a bit less religious to me. I don't know. I suppose it depends what symbols you're used to seeing. So that's nice, isn't it? Like being a bit coy, that kind of early meeting, and then, you know, cheers, here's to, you know, what the future brings. Before the party gets outrageous. So we see this as a bit of a party going on. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it? So he is actually taking and drinking. At this point, maybe he's had too much. Maybe that's just one too many. He doesn't need it anymore. You know, kind of hydrated already. Thank you very much. Love that aspect. Is it the cat that's knocked everything over? So was it this person or was it the cat? How are we seeing that element of walking away, feeling lost or excluded or forgotten? Did we create it or did somebody else? And then we have the two people in the Six of Cups. So here we can see them gathering the flowers, and he's, you know, filling a cup or a vase, if we want to call it for this purposes, in order to give to, I don't know, maybe that's his sister, friend, girlfriend, somebody he wants to woo. Oh, I like that. What am I going to turn around and behold? What will the cups bring to me? Yeah, okay, that's a good one for the 8, maybe. Again, perhaps maybe we're at the pub. Perhaps we've had too many to drink and now it's time to hobble off home because the night is, you know, moving on. Here we have our 9, filling the cups. The cup runneth over. And our 10, rains before you get a rainbow. That's a nice, instead of all this like happy families and stuff, actually you do sometimes get wet. And that's how the fish got in his cup. A seagull dropped it. And there we go. That's how our knight got his cup. So he was out on a long walk, clearly, and his beloved held it up to offer him, and he took it and carried on his merry way. Our queen, so the dolphin delivered her cup, clearly. And our king here. So he is being offered one from the sky. So there it is now in his hand. And we do have seagull out and about there, but everything else is pretty much as. And he does look a little bit, I don't know, definitely bored there, doesn't he? Weird with those eyes, starry eyes. This one looks a little bit more friendly. Pentacles. So we have the 2 hands, 1 hand. Somebody's making pizzas. Or playing catch. Oh, I like that. So the concept, the idea of what we're going to do, how we're going to work together and how we're going to create it. And here it is being carved into stone. It's almost like a promise, really, isn't it? More than a creativity. So we're being offered coins and then we're sitting on it and being greedy. Okay. That's a good way of looking at those cards. A good way of bringing, you know, the 4 of coins into light. That's an interesting one, isn't it, for the 5? So we're in a very snowy scene here, and the light isn't quite illuminating the window on this one. We just have the dog. And maybe the dog's a bit cold, needs to go inside, needs some shelter, wants some warmth. And then we have our 6. So here we've got people actually asking, I guess we're contemplating, then here we are giving. But this person looks happier than this person. Actually, I would say this deck feels a little bit thinner than this one, just for comparison. Here we have our 7 of Pentacles. So doing a little bit of work before resting on the chin. So doing some hoeing, taking a breather. Yeah, I always imagine this as part of this card. So I've always imagined this as somebody putting their accomplishments on the wall, you know, their certificates, showing what they are, how they've got to where they've got to. So this doesn't make, it's not too wild a jump from this card for me. That actually is always part of that story for me, so that's really nice to see. Here we have our 9 of Pentacles, calling in the birdie. And our 10. Oh, so this is a much, I don't know, it feels like it's slightly earlier in depiction, like, yeah. So we have perhaps a mother and father, and then we have the puppies on the lap, and she has a baby in her hands. Here we have perhaps the mother and father with the puppies grown, because they look like much bigger dogs. There is another young person hiding in the corner there, but perhaps this was the baby. Our Page of Pentacles. So we are admiring the sunflowers. The Knight of Pentacles, again, so he's extracting his from a tree, although he's going in a different direction to this one, so that's quite curious. The Queen is being offered her pentacle by the snake. Ah. I wonder why they chose a snake. Perhaps because having riches isn't always happiness. Maybe because it's a, you know, something to be aware of when you make those wishes. Our King of Pentacles, again, he looks really mean, doesn't he? And we have the Ace of Pentacles being offered into this card. So it comes full cycle, and then he has it on his lap. Right, so the Ace of Wands, reaching for it and taking it. It's like, could be one of two things, couldn't it? So this could be this person, or this is this person as a much younger person, you know, dreaming of what they're going to do when they go out into the world, making their decisions about their future. And here we have them actually handling it and thinking, this is my chance, and here's where I'm going to head off to. So there's a lot of birds in this deck. I haven't obviously read the instructions about why so many birds and things, so it's going to be interesting to find out. We have our party, so arriving at the party and the party starting. So the start of this is a bit like, I guess, practice. I don't know what that's called. Is it stick fighting? Almost reminds me of Morris dancers, to be perfectly honest with you, when they use their sticks when they're dancing. It almost looks like the start of a dance. Here we have our 6, so being crowned and recognised, and then, you know, going forwards with the recognition that's been given. And that's like another one, isn't it? It's almost like the prayer before a practice fight, and then here we go, let's go. Like a scene from a martial arts movie. That's interesting. So what do we have here? Is this like a chameleon, a lizard? We're calling it a dragon. And they're all facing at them, and then they're facing that way. Ah, there you go. That's what the boundaries are for. So we're building the boundaries to keep the wolves at bay. Here's our 10. A bit like going to the timber yard, isn't it? Purchasing your timber and then carrying it home to build whatever it is that you need to do. And our page. Interesting that we should have what looks like hieroglyphics that he's studying before he heads out on his way with his mighty stick. And we have the Knight of Wands. At least they're going in the same direction. There's not really a lot to say there, is it? So this is him clearly leaving home, and then here he is out on the road. Our Queen. So she's just acknowledging her little kitty before she sits up proud and holds her sunflower in the air. I don't know if the cat's just offered her the sunflower in this one, but obviously the cat's now sitting proud as well. Here we have the King of Wands. And we have the addition of the big lion, and then there we have the Ace of Wands handing the staff across to the king. Right, Ace of Swords, sword in the stone. So it must be extracting the stone. That's got that kind of Excalibur feel about it, doesn't it? And then we have the crown and the, I've forgotten what they all are now. I don't know. I want to call them rowan berries and something else, but I could be completely wrong. So but that's how I'm seeing them. So protection, and I'm not sure what the other one stands for. Okie dokie. See, that's how she got herself blindfolded. She put it on herself and picked up the swords and chose to cross herself. So in this case, only you can make that decision because you're the one that put yourself in that position. So were the swords going for the bird or the heart? And we have some butterflies. Okay, the window's open, look, so the butterflies have floated in. So that's nice. We are actually in the throes of the action. And we have a few more people than the two in the background there. So we've got 1, 2, 3, so we've got 4 people, 4 against 1. Does that change what you think of that card now when you see 4 against 1? Getting onto the ferry for the passage across. Is he really stealing? Who knows? Okie dokes. She's being helped into her prison by a person in black. So that's quite a curious looking figure, isn't it? Oh, that's an interesting element. So we have blood dripping off the swords in this one. Ah, okay. All the swords are hiding over there, and there's people hiding in the bushes. If I bring that one up. So we can see people hiding in the bushes with the swords, ready to stab that person in the back. Are they your friends? And again, we have another bird. Not so out of place on the swords card, because we do have birds up there as well, the element of air. Yeah, we're kind of going in the same direction. Again, leaving home, ready to go. You know, hey guys, I'm off on my way. And then there we are, charge. Queen being helped on with her crown. And some interesting coloured depiction. So she has blonde hair with a red kind of headdress, head cover. Whereas here we just have what always appear to be sort of red hair. And I do feel, facially wise, this one is less feminine looking to this one. Or it might just be this is a very young face and this is maybe an older face. But yeah. And then we have our King of Swords. And again, there we have the ace dropping the sword into the king's hand, ready to sit and rule his throne. And he has the butterflies there in the background. Okay. Excuse me. So yeah, there's a slight difference in the cardstock quality from the first deck that came through to the one that we now have. But this is standard, this is more standard low Scarabeo to, I think this one, some of my decks feel like this and most of the rest of them feel like this. So it's not like it's a big change. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm sorry if it took a long time to go through, but I just thought it'd be really cool to put them cards side by side. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.